Hey, what's up everybody? It's Eric from iRacing, and today we're going to go over MoTeC i2 Pro and all the benefits that you can derive from this in order to improve your lap times from data analysis and telemetry analysis. Now, to do this, you're going to need a couple things. You're going to need the program MoTeC i2, which can be found from this website, which we'll provide in the description, and you're going to want to download MoTeC i2 Pro, and for me 64-bit, but it's based on your operating system. And in addition to that, you're going to need a program called MU, which is a GitHub project by Patrick Moore. That's something that runs in the background while you're racing to record your telemetry. Once you have this running, the most important thing you need to know is to change the export lap threshold to 1, because if you don't do this, you're going to end up having a bunch of pretty much micro files of anytime you do like an outlap and the outlap doesn't go well and maybe you crash the car, you're just going to have a bunch of extra files that you don't need. So you really want the lap threshold on 1 so that you complete a full lap on the first hot lap. That's when it starts recording, because you don't really need the data from a cold tires lap anyway, let's be honest. So moving forward, once you have these downloaded and you can open the program MU, you've recorded a few laps, you'll see here that it's running in the background. So you do a few runs, you get some telemetry. It looks like this. It'll have 2 files. The one with the red is the one that you can double click to open up into your MoTeC workbook. Or additionally, you can go to the program and open a log file, which you can then send to your telemetry folder in iRacing. As you can see, I have a lot. I tend to clean this folder out pretty often. It shows as well the setup that you used and the vehicle that was used, the fastest lap time, so it makes it easier to open the file. So for the sake of this project, I'm going to open 2 lap files. We're going to go to Road America, and here's a lap that I did. And what you can see on the general data page is the MoTeC workbook, generously created and shared with the HW Racing team by Remy. You get a lot of general information about the track, even general information about your computer, frame rates and CPU, with a bunch of other tabs for, I could, read off everything in here, but for the sake of this experiment, I just want to quickly run through on this video everything that you'll be able to use. ICR, I believe, stands for oversteer. I think to say one of my favorite parts of this workbook would be, and what I use it the most for, is probably lock and traction control analysis. Notice you can drag around the track, if you really want to get a good idea of, at what point you're locking, the front right tires are here. You can see this massive lockup of the front left that I did going into the highest speed braking zone on the track. So obviously you can see my brake bias might have been just a little too far forward, or I broke too late based on the conditions of the track, because I never even hit 100% braking. And that front left is just screaming right now. So you can always find improvements in your own lap times. You can, additionally, I think the best thing that you can use this for is to overlay it with another lap, which I will get going here in just a moment, as soon as I realize how to zoom out again, because typically there's a bar on the side here that allows me to zoom. It's hiding. Okay, so I'm going to open another telemetry file now on top of this one. And this one is going to be, I'm hoping to find the file name, Road America full. So here's something interesting. It's not showing the file, but I know I have it it's right here. This is the PDS lap file provided by PDS. When you subscribe to them, they actually give you the telemetry files for their laps. So, oops. What I want to do is open this into the same project, which I was able to do just by dragging and dropping. Okay. So, clicking now on data, I got a jingle sound from my computer here. What's the problem? Oh, Windows, why are you doing this to me? Probably because I still have this open. Okay, data. Now here you can see I have Alexander's lap, and we also have my lap. Alexander's lap was clearly much better than mine. I believe this is the qualifying setup lap though. Mine was on full fuel on a pretty hot track, and I also am not super familiar with the Porsche. So we'll take his lap, and we'll also click on my lap. Clicking the second box is what gives you the overlay in another color. And tell you what, those are vastly different. So let's see what we can derive from this, just simply from braking. Let's go right to turn 1 and see what we can see. You just double click and drag to zoom in out on the area. And what we're seeing here is the white lap being the PDS lap. We're seeing that they're braking later, like much later. This is in feet. You can change it to meters. 1500, 1630. They're braking 130 meters later. And their application on the brake is actually 100% briefly. Whereas you can see I'm trailing off. They're much deeper and they're still on. And as far as throttle application, I'm earlier, so they're taking the brakes deeper into the corner, getting on the throttle a bit later. And if you zoom out again, and take this green bar and just drag it a little further down the lap, you'll see that again, the top speeds end up being similar, but again, they're out braking me by 400 feet into the next braking zone, which is in preparation for the longest straightaway on the track. So, just from that alone, you can see that there's a lot of ways to improve your own technique from overlaying with a professional. You can also do this when you make your own setup changes, overlay your 2 laps. I just wanted to use, this to show you guys a little bit about what it's about. We can see the differences in brake balance, and furthermore, you can analyze suspension histograms. This is a whole nother story. You don't really want to use the histogram like this. The histogram is typically used over the course of an entire stint's data, and the more data that you put into it, the more the graph averages out, and you can see how much time your suspension is staying in the low bump area, the high speed bump area, or rebound, etc. And you can use that to either get more out of the car or just tune it. Like for instance, if your graph looks like a weird inverted mountain, that means that you're not utilizing the low speed bump stops at all. In the Porsche Cup car, that's not really an option, but hey, it's there for you. It's something that we use to tune our car for like Daytona in the LMP2. Here you can see rake, and you can see that even at the lowest point, this car is 0.054. I don't know what that is. I don't know what M to S is. Let's have a look. So if you right click, you can go to properties, and then you can edit, and you can see what unit of measurement that it's using. This says degrees, 0.05 degrees of rake angle. Very nice. So something you can use for your benefit. You can analyze ride heights at different parts of the track. I really like the track map, and something I added in addition to was the steering wheel angle and the throttle brake, because that just really helps me to understand what I'm doing at the time, of the squiggles, we'll call them. You can analyze temperatures, track temp included, air temp included, the pressures at any point during your lap. So we'll look, here's lap 2 pressures, and let's see what the lap 1 pressures were like. Well, not much different. But again, for the sake of this example, there's a lot you can do with this workbook, and it's been extremely helpful to me. So I want to thank Remy for sharing it with us. This workbook is available on Google Drive, and in order to get it, I'm going to need your email address, and Remy has offered to share it with the HW Racing team for those who want to use it. So in order to make it work, I think that's the other part of this video that I wanted to go over. Once you download the programs, you need to then also download the workbook, which, so basically you'll download the workbook from Google Drive, and you'll have all these files. You need all of these files. If the workspace is missing, it's not going to work. So basically, you then copy this folder into Documents, MoTeC, i2 Workspaces, and you can see different workspaces. Each workspace is a different configuration of the data, and here you paste it in there. And once it's there, and you open MoTeC for the first time, you'll find that it's available, and you can open it right there as a blank workbook. And then all you have to do is click, open, and find your telemetry file that you want to import. Or in addition to that, you can go to your telemetry folder and pick and choose a lap. Here we can take a large one here from Sebring in the LMP2, just so I can show you the suspension histogram, because that's something that I really like. You see how this has a nice shape? That's typically sought after. I learned that from Christian Challoner. He has an extremely and more in-depth look at the MoTeC workbook and how to use it, but you can see there's much more laps in this stint, and as you expand the number of laps included in your stint, it averages out. It makes a nice median of data, and that's the advantage of using an entire stint for the suspension histogram, because it gives you a bigger picture. So that's pretty much it. We're gonna post this video here for you guys, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope that you're able to benefit from this workbook, and thanks again to Remy. It's been a pleasure working with him and driving with him, and yeah, thank you guys.